Let's go back to 1998. The OG team have retired and the Turbo team have made their way to outer space to join forces with Andros and create a new team of Power Rangers. The Rangers are up to their usual tricks fighting a monster. Now, if you were to ask me, who? Then I'd suspect that you're the monster they're fighting. They go to Adele's for a post-fight feast, and whilst they're eating, the Rangers hear their communicators, or at least what sounds like them. It turns out a girl at the diner has a gadget that sounds identical to their communicators. Something that is completely and utterly irrelevant and definitely will not show up later on. Cassie and Carlos catch a live news report that shows the Power Rangers at the scene of a battle, but of course, it's not them. The fake Rangers then start firing their weapons at the news team. The real team then show up to the scene and they start scrapping. And the imposters are absolutely smoking the Rangers, immediately setting the tone for who they may be up against. The team regroup, and it's at this point that we learn the bad guys aren't Power Rangers, but Psycho Rangers.
We're Psycho Rangers. We're faster than you. Smarter than you.
Stronger than you. But we're evil!
Psycho Black, Psycho Blue,
Psycho Yellow! Psycho Pink!
Psycho Red.
Psycho scan the Rangers' brains, allowing them to manipulate them in every way. Their thoughts, their fighting styles, and they're about to destroy the Rangers until Zane, the mighty Silver Ranger, shows up and saves them, or at least scares them off. We learn that the Psychos are working for Astronomer, this season's big bad. Would have been cool if they were a separate organisation. I mean, if you can even call Astronomer and her team an organisation. But I don't know, I think that would have been a cool rivalry between bad guy forces. Some random dude in Angel Grove then has the exact same gadget that the girl from the diner had. He uses it and the Psychos recognize it as a Ranger sound. I guess when they did the brain scan, they were also able to find out the sounds that the Rangers hear. And then all of a sudden, everyone and their nan in Angel Grove has one of these little devices, and they're all getting attacked by the Psychos because they hear the sound, they're like, those are the Rangers. The Rangers clock onto the fact they're hunting civilians and alert Zane, setting off his communicator. He runs out of sight to answer the call, but is ambushed by Psycho Blue and Psycho Black. Andros figures out why the civilians are being attacked, which leads him and TJ to discovering Zane's morpher, realising he's in trouble. The Psychos then decided to tie Zane up in an old library, rather than like astronomer ship, I don't know, just a crazy one. But it's clear they went with the sort of old library aesthetic, so it matches up with this manor house in the Sentai. And speaking of Mega Ranger, the Sentai, the Psychos in Japan are called the Evil Electric Sentai Neji Ranger, which, as goofy as that sounds, is also kind of badass. The Rangers arrive at the library, but there's an invisible force field surrounding it. Now obviously they can't morph because the Psychos will hear the sounds of their morphers or them, so they set up a distraction. They send the Mega Tank out in Angel Grove with a loop box, just repeating the communicator sounds. The Psychos obviously hear this, they fall away, and that buys them a little bit of time to morph. Andros whips out his spiral saber and smashes down the force field, and they head for Zane. But it's instantly proven that the Psychos can't be fooled that easily. They're boxed in and they must fight to get to the other side. Once again, the Rangers are helpless, being thrown around like ragdolls. They're hit with a huge beam of energy, almost destroying them. All of a sudden though, the Psychos vanish, but the Rangers are cooked anyway. Luckily though, Zane did manage to escape, since it was only rope. Back on Astronomer's ship, she says she teleported them back because
you'll finish them when I decide.
Astronomer then explains to Ecliptor that the Psycho Ranger's powers are being harnessed from Dark Spectre's powers, so the more the Psychos fight, the more power drains from Dark Spectre, leaving her to be the one to destroy the evil Emperor, making her an evil monarch. And so we've met the Psycho Rangers. We don't know too much about them individually just yet. We know that Red's the leader and that Blue could be a bit of an overconfident wild card, but nothing sets them apart just yet. Their threat, however, is probably unmatched. Androids that can detect and travel to the Rangers in a moment's notice, knowing exactly how they think and exactly how they fight. No one from the past 6 seasons has ever come that close to having a full advantage over the Rangers. Not the Machine Empire, not Lord Zed. And of course, the mastermind behind all of this is Astronomer, a villain that was almost broken free of her brainwashing before being operated on with robotic parts, making her even deadlier than before. An extra weight on Andros, but also an extra weight on the entire universe. And now she has 5 evil robotic warriors on her side. Yikes. The majority of the next episode isn't actually about the Psychos, but instead a little girl that Carlos is looking after. However, right at the end of the episode, Psycho Red shows up and takes on the Rangers alone. He's not doing a bad job either until Psycho Black appears and starts attacking him. He says that he's not going to let Psycho Red get all of the glory, and they start fighting each other before Astronomer then teleports them away. Back on the ship, Astronomer is livid with the Psycho, saying that she decides when they attack. Her new game plan is to target each ranger individually, starting with Cassie. And Psycho Pink is of course very happy about this. Cassie is cleaning the Astro Megaship while Ashley and Andros are eating. There's some tension because they're making everything dirtier. But beef with both sides though. Who the fuck eats like this? For starters, look at the state of it. And as for Cassie, why are you choosing now to clean the floors when you've got these animals about? Meanwhile, Astronomer is speaking with Dark Spectre, who is trying to figure out who's draining his powers. I wonder. Psycho Yellow walks in and announces she has a plan, but Astronomer wants no part in it, saying her plan is all that counts. Psycho Yellow then storms off, but she meets up with Psycho Pink. Yellow convinces Pink to follow her lead, and she agrees, both completely betraying Astronomer. Back on the Megaship, TJ sits Cassie and Ashley down to sort out their issues. Man is livid, and he's like, you two best sort it out. He's given them this entire speech before Decker announces that the Psychos have been spotted in Angel Grove. They rush down there and all hell breaks loose. There's an all-out fight with the Quantrons, and Psycho Pink targets Cassie directly. But roaming in the background, we see Psycho Yellow, whose plan is clearly not only going against Astronomer, but also Psycho Pink. Mid-battle, Psycho Pink starts attacking an old lady. Ashley tries to help, but she reveals herself to be Psycho Yellow, capturing her and betraying Psycho Pink. In the heat of the moment, Pink tries to attack, but Andros holds her back, eventually causing her to retreat. Now Cassie is heartbroken that she stood by whilst Ashley was being taken. Alpha tries to track Ashley down and TJ convinces Cassie to stop feeling sad but put more energy into finding her. We then cut to where Ashley's being held in some weird dungeon looking place. Psycho Yellow tries to mind read Ashley, but Psycho Pink shows up threatening to snitch on her. They fight and Ashley manages to escape, but the Psychos immediately chase after her. Once again, Ashley's pursued by Psycho Yellow, but Psycho Pink won't quit as another fight breaks out between them, giving Ashley even more of a chance to escape. I mean, either the Psychos are dumb or Ashley is, but this is some Tom and Jerry style chasing. Ashley then intelligently, or stupidly, moves to some gas canisters, blowing up the building as the Psychos blast at her. Everyone makes it out alive, and before Psycho Pink destroys Ashley, Cassie swoops in on a Galaxy Glider and saves her. The team then start working together, trying to figure out a way to destroy Psycho Pink, but Ashley has some new information after being captured basically and pinned up in a room with the two of them. The crack in Psycho Pink's visor had damaged her energy shields, making her weaker and weaker. When the suit is destroyed, it's revealed that the Psychos aren't actually androids, but monsters in their own Ranger-like suits. Psycho Pink then grows and they call on the Mega Voyager. Astronomer is watching but insists on letting Pink continue as she's draining more of Dark Spectre's power. She's stronger than the Voyager, but once again Zane swoops in with the Mega Winger as reinforcement. The two Zords work together and destroy Psycho Pink once and for all. And that's the second time now that Zane has swooped in last minute to help with the Psychos. Do we not think we should just bring him along from the beginning? Cut to the other Psychos not even mourning Psycho Pink, but instead calling her weak. Astronomer assures them that if anyone pulls another fast one, she'll single-handedly destroy them. Astronomer ain't fucking about. The episode ends with Cassie and Ashley pretending to have an argument to get out of doing cleaning together, and the episode ends on a high. So Psycho Pink, gone. For some reason I remember the Psychos being a full team for much longer than just 2.5 episodes. But hey, clearly not. You know, it was a long time ago. Despite Psycho Pink's destruction though, we do have some more info on the individual Psycho Rangers. Pink seemed the most naive, not only following Yellow's plan, but also believing she could take on the Rangers solo, which as we clearly saw, ended in her demise. However, she definitely holds a grudge, and that determination could have worked in their favour had she not been destroyed. And it's a shame that we definitely won't see her again. Psycho Yellow seems the most slanderous, willing to double-cross both Psycho Pink and Astronomer just to get Ashley to herself. Though I don't know what her plan would have been if Pink hadn't have intervened. Like, would she have just killed Ashley there? Would she have handed her in? Like, maybe not the one with the most common sense. Psycho Red didn't play a big role in the last episode, but he clearly has the power trip from being Psycho Red. His attack in part 2 was devious, and he held his own, leading into Psycho Black, who was not willing to let Psycho Red get all the glory. Both definitely think they're the alpha males of the group, and that rivalry could be dangerous for both sides. Psycho Blue still hasn't contributed too much, but I'm pretty sure that's about to change. Astronomer is talking with Dark Spectre, who suspects his powers are being drained from a being on Earth, and she just plays along. She's like, oh yeah, I wonder who that could be. On the Astro Mega ship, the Rangers have a chessboard with statues of themselves and the Psychos. TJ then comes up with a plan to confuse the Psychos by switching around their colours. So instead of blue versus blue and black versus black, we'll have pink versus yellow and red versus blue.
That's right, bitch!
The Rangers then confront the Psychos in Angel Grove, and TJ's plan commences. To begin with, it works incredibly well, and they have a huge advantage over the Psychos. But it doesn't take long for them to see through their trick, and they swap back.
You saw through my trick.
Zane then shows up for backup just as TJ gets smoked by Psycho Blue. Zane steps in the middle of TJ and Psycho Blue, but Psycho Blue fights him off, almost destroying TJ before getting swept away by Astronomer. And the third time the Zane has showed up and asserted dominance is all I'm saying. Back on the ship, TJ's in the med bay and is having nightmares about Psycho Blue. He wants to leap back into action, but the team insists he rests. On Astronomer's ship, the Psychos are complaining about her leadership, as Psycho Blue said he wants to go after the Rangers himself. Now Astronomer does overhear this, but she also knows she wants to drain more of Dark Spectre's energy, so she doesn't intervene, and I kind of like that about her. I like that she's got the mindset of like, I know that I can turn those Psychos off by the press of a button, I'll let them do what they want, I'm going to become the evil monarch, it's going to be great. Cassie then brings TJ some food to find him on some form of computer watching a replay of their last battle. Mid-replay, the computer malfunctions and they lose all colour, which sparks an idea in TJ's head. I love how I said an idea in TJ's head, as opposed to like an idea in his. TJ then walks into the control room with a can of spray paint, turning all of the Ranger figures blue, implying that if they were all to be a Blue Ranger, then the Psychos wouldn't know which one they need to attack, and that's how they can overpower them. We cut to Earth, and TJ confronts the Psychos solo. They say they're happy to see the Blue Ranger before 4 more Blue Rangers show up. How they did this? I don't know. I don't think they spray painted that fabric, so morphing grid magic. Psycho Blue charges at them and holds his own, but of course the other Psychos couldn't control themselves and got involved, attacking the wrong Rangers and getting their asses handed to them. And again, we see Psycho Yellow just lurking in the background, clearly having some bigger plan that we don't know about. The Rangers get the advantage before a random blast of lightning comes from the sky. They look up to see a new enemy has entered the battle. Psycho Silver. Holy shit, a 6th Psycho Ranger to go up against Zane. What a twist. He then insists that the Rangers are his and his alone, striking them with his sword. Again, the jealousy gets the better of the Psychos and they focus their attention on Psycho Silver rather than the Rangers. Blue then attacks Red and Black, insisting he takes on Psycho Silver solo. He blasts him out of the way and confronts the Blue Ranger as TJ jumps over Psycho Silver. The Rangers revert to their normal colours and Zane reveals himself to be Psycho Silver, as it was a trap to solo out Psycho Blue all along. What a bigger twist! Zane and TJ charging, giving one final blow onto Psycho Blue. 4th Zane save so far. Come on. As suspected, the armor is broken and Psycho Blue's natural form is revealed. Growing to the size of a skyscraper, they call on the Mega Voyager and Mega Winger to defeat Psycho Blue once and for all. Psycho Blue has ice powers, not only making it snow but freezing the Megazords. Luckily the Zords have central heating and they manage to break free from the ice. They channel the heat into their laser and with the help of the Mega Winger, destroy Psycho Blue. Ecliptor is concerned about the strength of the Psychos, but Astronomer is more than confident in just 3 Psychos. Back on the Megaship, Andros is leading the team with a new plan as they repair their Megaship. All the Rangers are working on the ship, but TJ senses something is off with Andros. He says he can't stop thinking about his sister and that how he knows now she does have a good side. They've gone through hell with the Psychos and they know that the final 3 are only going to get tougher. And there goes Psycho Blue. Just as he got really interesting too. I think it's for sure a fact that Psycho Blue is the most psychotic, not necessarily the best Psycho, but just the more mentally unstable. I love his natural monster design and the ice gimmick is fun, though I wish we got to spend more time with Psycho Pink and Psycho Blue in these monster forms. Also a fun fact I learned a little while ago, the figures used for the Psycho Rangers on the chessboard are seemingly modified Batman figures from the 1997 Batman and Robin film. And furthermore, somehow Bulk and Skull managed to get their hands on this exact chessboard because they're playing with it in Forever Red. Did the Rangers give it to them? Is this a merch piece in the universe? Anyway, I also adored the spotlight being on TJ this episode. It felt as though he blended into the background a bit in the last 3 episodes, so I'm glad he's finally got a focus. Especially being the one that came up with all 3 plans to defeat Psycho Blue. Iconic scenes from
Selwyn Wood!
What's going on, Zordon?
Goldar has been sent to Angel Grove. You must go now.
But I was literally just about to talk about our Patreon.
Your what?
Patreon. It's a place where you can get early access to all Film Fun videos, get exclusive videos that you can't get on YouTube, and even get your name show up at the end of our videos. And it's just £3 per month, which is less than a meal deal.
Oh. Yeah, shit. Sorry. That sounds important. I'll just send Tommy down there. Carry on as you were.
Cheers, Zodom. The team now have drawings of the Psychos, crossing off the ones they've defeated as they continue repairs on the ship and their weapons. On Astronomer's ship, the Psycho Rangers have now learned from the colour switching shenanigans and are now learning the Rangers' voices so they can tell who is who just by the words they speak. With this tactic, Astronomer demands the Psychos bring the Rangers to her rather than destroying them, all in an effort to drain Dark Spectre's powers even more. Which is something that should be said about the era of the Psycho Rangers. Not only are they cool villains anyway, but the fact that they're used regardless to drain power from Dark Spectre, who's been this overarching character for the entire, realistically the entire show. We only saw him in space, but it adds to the story of the Psychos even more, and I love it. The Psychos arrive at Angel Grove and they take on a human form, sporting leather jackets with their colours identified on their shirts. What's really cool about this is that these are actually the voice actors for the Psychos, which I feel like in TV, if someone's exclusively a voice actor, they usually just get a non-voice actor to be the body and then they dub over the voice. I mean, that's definitely what happened with Steel and Beast Morphers. Ashley is talking in a phone booth and the Psychos instantly recognise her voice. Psycho Yellow is the most eager, zapping down there and grabbing... not Ashley. Conveniently, this phone booth is for blonde women who exclusively wear yellow. But this mistake alerts Ashley to the situation, later reporting back to the team that the Psychos are roaming in human disguises. Cassie, however, is in Angel Grove having a chill all day, so the Rangers page her the message, "Do not talk," along with a phone number to ring. Cassie then gets as far away as possible, but her allergies are playing up and her entire life could end over a sneeze. Until a Power Rangers classic is whipped out. A baby stroller heading for some stairs. Cassie spots this and must speak up, saving the baby's life but also alerting the Psychos to her location. They confront her, about to destroy her, until Zane shows up in a clown costume and distracts the Psychos, then using a speaker to fool the Rangers into believing Cassie isn't actually the person they're seeing and that the Pink Ranger is actually around the corner. I'm not going to say anything about Zane this time, but all 6 Rangers morph and we go back to the standard Ranger v Ranger tussle. While the Psychos are now even more outnumbered, they are still doing damage to the team. But after much resilience, the Power Rangers manage to destroy the Psycho suits, revealing the true monster forms of all 3 of them, and they immediately start growing. The Mega Voyager is called upon, and for some reason Zane just fucking chills out while they get triple teamed. Bro eventually decides to get involved and then acts like the hero as if it didn't take him 3 to 5 working days to decide he was going to be a part of the battle. 6 times. It's like they purposely made him leave so he could come back. Get this motherfucker in the main 5. Replace Carlos if you must. What's he done in the last 5 episodes? But now with 3 Zords versus 3 Psychos, the Power Rangers gain victory. Oh shit, never mind. They're back for round 2 and a vortex opens in the city where Psycho Black pulls the Mega Voyager into it and the Power Rangers narrowly escape. With 2 Zords damaged and 1 Zord gone, the team are running out of options. On Astronomer's ship, the Psychos want to destroy the Rangers with the Megazord, but Astronomer still insists on drawing it out and devising a new plan. Racing through the galaxy, the Rangers are scanning for the Mega Voyager and lock coordinates on the vortex following its path. Dark Spectre is bricking it because he knows he doesn't have much time left. Meanwhile, Astronomer and Ecliptor are borderline celebrating this. The Psychos have set up a trap surrounding the Mega Voyager, waiting for the Power Rangers to arrive. But at this point, my boy Psycho Red is crashing out and he says he will not obey Astronomer anymore and then he wants the Red Ranger. The Rangers locate the Mega Voyager, but Zane doesn't trust that this isn't a trap. It also never really occurred to me, but for some reason I thought that when the Psychos revealed their true form, they couldn't then go back to their old suits, but they're just switching back and forth like it's nothing. Maybe they have morphers. Maybe that's the deal. Zane distracts the Psychos while the Rangers board their Zords, but Psycho Yellow watches over them. Still doesn't seem right. Also, Zane finally at the forefront of a plan? What's going on? Who switched up the timelines? The Zords combine, but the team lose all control of their systems. Psycho Yellow has taken control of the Megazord, using it to fight against the other 2 Zords. Look, these Rangers have had some decent plans throughout the saga, but they've been had. Ecliptor then teleports Psycho Red to the ship right before he was about to destroy the Rangers. Ecliptor saw through his plan of disobeying Astronomer and thrashes him in a 1v1, before pussy old Psycho Red teleports away. He returns to the planet, forcing Andros out of the Zord and fights him directly. And what follows is actually quite an intense battle of the Reds, with Andros losing. Then Alpha 6 shows the fuck up in the Astro Megazord, blasting at Psycho Red and saving Andros. Let's go. In Space Alpha 6, you have single-handedly redeemed Turbo Alpha 6. Maybe not, but that was a cool moment. Andros then takes control of the Astro Megazord and attempts to remove the virus from the Mega Voyager. The Rangers are still inside the Zord and their lives are at just as much risk as Psycho Yellow's. Psycho Red intervenes to destroy Andros, but Psycho Black intervenes with him. At this point, the Psychos are also in a free-for-all with each other, and due to Psycho Red's attack, Psycho Yellow loses control of the Megazord and the Power Rangers regain access. Now with 4 Megazords on the battlefield, the Psychos are combining their powers to be even stronger. Ashley has the idea to deflect their power back at them. With a low survival rate, however, the Rangers realise they have no other option if they want to save the world from the Psychos. They form the Astro Delta Megazord, and in assistance with the Mega Voyager and Mega Winger, they take on as much energy as they can, and right before destruction, they successfully absorb and deflect the Psychos' power, and repel it back to them, destroying them once and for all. Once and for all. I feel like I've said that sentence a bit, haven't I? But they're all destroyed now, so it's fine. Back at the megaship, Andros sees someone roaming the halls when Psycho Red appears from around the corner, until he unmasks himself, and it's Zane. How has this dude successfully created 2 Psycho Ranger cosplays, even if Silver came first and Red was a repaint? Where's he had the time? What's he been doing? Bro should attend a Comic-Con. But anyway, the Rangers can relax, Astronomer is livid, and the Psycho Rangers are gone for good. Until 2 episodes later where they return. But kind of. The Rangers detect an energy at an old warehouse. The reading was the Psycho Rangers, but as ghosts. They try to attack the Rangers, but the Rangers can't see them, nor can they be interacted with. But the Psychos can interact with each other. They then just vanish until the next episode. The Rangers are on a cruise ship after an alert of several missing people. Alright, bro. What if there was someone in there, though? What was the plan? What was the plan? Now, this episode is structured to follow episodes 37 and 38, which are unrelated for the most part from the Psycho Rangers. Astronomer has kidnapped an entire city and is uploading civilians into data cards, and that's the part that's important. The Rangers investigate the secret city as the Psycho Rangers follow them around as ghosts. They then get locked in a room where the Rangers get caught in the data laser and turned into data cards. The Psychos witness this and decide they must save the Rangers just so that they can have them back in person to get revenge themselves. They put their essence into the machine and exit through the data laser, resurrecting themselves and confronting Eclipto. Psycho Red gets his hands on the Rangers' data cards and they bring the Rangers back into the real world, finally able to get revenge. Eclipto interferes once again and the Psychos fight him off, giving the Rangers enough time to regroup. The Psychos follow them outside and face off once again. The Power Rangers use their Quadra Blaster, which destroys the Psychos' suits, but they're still left facing against the Psychos in their natural forms. Mid-battle, Zane shows up. Okay, it's fine. Zane shows up and he manages to get through Eclipto and regain the civilians' data cards. He frees everyone one by one and all that's left to do is defeat the Psychos. They lure them back to the control room, tricking them into standing under the data laser as Zane locks in and turns them into data cards. Andros is almost caught in the crossfire, but thanks to
Salmon Wood,
he gets saved. However, the Psychos are so powerful that the computer gets overloaded. The Rangers escape, but the building explodes, destroying the Psycho Rangers' data cards in the process. Now, officially having defeat them once and for all. Until Astronomer is seen at the end with 5 fully intact database cards. Like, what the fuck is even going on? I think this episode definitely has a part to play in why I remember the Psychos being a full team for much longer. It was very cool seeing all 5 of them in their monster forms together, especially fighting at regular height. I also like how we clearly saw the Psychos' database cards in Astronomer's hands, but they never show up again throughout Power Rangers in Space, thus concluding the Psycho saga. But of course, before we move on to Lost Galaxy, I just want to take a little moment to talk about Psycho Green. I wasn't going to incorporate the comic book timeline as I really just wanted to focus on the show, but Psycho Green has made such a name for himself over the last few years that I gotta talk about him. Psycho Green is a comic book exclusive character that debuted in 2016. His appearances aren't linear to the timeline, but here's the lowdown. There was once a guy named Trek from the planet Zebria, the same homeworld of the Time Force Green Ranger. Trek was recruited as the Green Supersonic Ranger, another original character that was adapted from Chikyu's Sentai 5-Man. Not only did they create an original Green Ranger for this team, but this was actually a spin-off to Super Megaforce where they introduced the 5-man suits as the Supersonic suits. The Supersonic Rangers were on a mission when a building they were in blew up completely. Ace, the Supersonic Red Ranger, laid in the rubble as Trek stood over him. Trek revealed that he was behind the explosion and that he was secretly working for Dark Spectre on a mission to kill the other supersonic rangers. Trek raised his blaster and fired it directly at Ace. Trek leaves the planet and heads to Infernus, where he's greeted by an avatar of Dark Spectre. Dark Spectre uses his cursed powers on Trek's morpher, corrupting his supersonic powers and turning him into the first ever Psycho Ranger. Now Psycho Green, he would go on his first mission to the Earth's moon to free the evil witch Rita Repulsa. From Earth, Zordon and Alpha had a defense system set up to prevent such events. They shot down Psycho Green's ship, but the ship's safety precautions kicked in. It placed Psycho Green in a sort of hibernation state, only to be woken up when other life forms were detected nearby, because then they could offer additional help. Many years later, in 1969, the Apollo 11 crew landed on the moon, activating Psycho Green. 5 Rangers were chosen by Zordon to stop Psycho Green before Rita Repulsa could be broken free. And if you couldn't tell at this point, this was kind of a precursor to Mighty Morphin. I did an entire other video on the channel on it, you can check it out if you want. But this is where it's meant to tie in the sort of timeline of events. During this mission, Psycho Green killed 2 of the 5 Rangers before the remaining 3 hit him with a power blaster. They thought he was dead until he emerged from the smoke as a giant flaming green monster, as we know the Psychos do. Now at this point the Rangers are outmatched, but with one slight glimmer of hope, the Blue Ranger sacrifices his life in order to destroy Psycho Green. And we don't actually learn until a later comic that Psycho Green didn't die, but instead was just buried under the moon's rubble. Years later, Psycho Green learned about the other 5 Psycho Rangers and rebooted them via their data cards. The 6 Psycho Rangers then hunted down Astronomer, unaware of her transition to the light side. They end up kidnapping her and are adamant that they're going to bring back the Astronomer that they once knew. Andros would step in and save Carone, apprehending the Psycho Rangers and locking Trek in a space prison for the rest of time. And whilst I don't intend to go further into the comic books, they did give the Psycho Rangers actual names, so I thought I'd at least read them out. Psycho Red is called Virgil, Psycho Black is called Photon, Psycho Blue is called Axe, Psycho Yellow is called just Yellow, Psycho Pink is called Nokria, and then of course Psycho Green is Trek. Those are some names. Virgil. This guy's called Virgil. Of course, the stories of Psycho Green aren't in any way canon to the TV show, nor are the way the other Psychos are represented in these comic books. But Psycho Green is such a fan favourite character at this point that I couldn't make an entire video about the Psycho Rangers without including him. But anyway, now on to... So Trakina and her goons aren't winning, so Deviot does a dodgy backstreet deal for 5 green cards. The person he got them from tries to kill him, but Deviot blows him up. Back at Trakina's ship, he redigitizes them, reviving the Psycho Rangers once again. And this shit was dramatic, by the way, oh my god. At the scene of the deal, a cloaked figure finds the empty box, realizing they're too late. I wonder who it could be. Trakina tasks the Psychos to go after the Green and Yellow Ranger first. First, Damon and Maya are kidnapped, then Kendricks and Kai put up somewhat of a fight before also being captured. Leo is training in the woods where he comes across a crying child, and turns out this kid is Psycho Red and just finesses Leo. Leo actually manages to morph and we get a battle of the Reds. Psycho Red, as predicted, is a lot stronger than Leo, and he overpowers him, even doing this weird head spin that we've never seen them do, but it was creepy. Just before Psycho Red can destroy Leo, the cloaked figure returns, kicking Psycho Red down and blasting him with a super totally unfamiliar blaster. The mysterious man takes his hood down, and of course, it is Andros. Leo knows who he is and said that he was there when the Rangers saved the Earth. Like a really simple line, but it's like one of those ways they tie the universe together. I love it. Leo asks who the bad guy was and Andros explains, saying he's just like Leo but even stronger. Which is kind of weird because at no point did the Psychos scan the Lost Galaxy Ranger's brain, so should they be more powerful? Like I guess on a power scale, maybe, but they don't really know anything about these Rangers. They go back to the megaship and Alpha 6 is ecstatic to see Andros again. They hug it out and there's this pretty brief but wholesome handshake moment between Mike and Andros. I don't know, it was just there's something cool about it. Decker gets a lock on the other Rangers as Andros heads for the Power Vault. Inside, all 5 Astromorphers resting on beautifully colour-coded handles. We cut to an old warehouse where Trakina and the Psychos are keeping the other Lost Galaxy Rangers hostage in a force field. Part of Trakina's plan is to wait for Leo, allowing Psycho Red to take him down. He enters in style, stepping through a fireball, but he didn't come alone. Andros steps in, much to their surprise. Both Red Rangers lead the Psychos out of the warehouse as Mike sneaks in to free the other Rangers. And then we suddenly cut back to the megaship as Alpha 6 notices that the vault is still open. Alpha starts freaking out as we see the remaining 4 Astromorphers get removed from their handles. Back with the Psychos, all 5 of them are battling with Andros and Leo. The other 5 Rangers come to their aid, ready to morph and do their best against the Psychos. The Psychos say that just because there's 7 of them doesn't mean they have any chance against the power of the Psycho Rangers. And that's until
How about 11 of us? Huh?
In a powerful moment of heroism, TJ, Cassie, Carlos and Ashley appear on the top of the warehouse, morphing into action and reuniting with Andros to assist the Lost Galaxy Rangers. No sign of Zane though. Maybe he was just off in the galaxy somewhere with Corone. I don't know. Oh shit, they might be cooked. The Lost Galaxy Rangers morph and the two teams come together to face the Psychos. They fight 2v1, red on red, blue on blue, black and green on black.
There's a simple explanation.
The Psychos show off their strength for sure, but being up against two Rangers at once certainly gives them a run for their money. The Lost Galaxy Rangers then summon the Lights of Orion, their power-up mode, and the In-Space Rangers whip out the Spiral Saber and Quadra Blaster. With a final strike from both teams, the Psycho Rangers get destroyed once again and for all. Well, kind of not really. Whilst the Rangers are catching up on the ship, Psycho Pink has survived under the wreckage. Deviot finds her, insisting she will destroy the Rangers as he carries her to refuge. The Psycho Rangers are back again in an all-new season. First of all, I completely forgot how good To the 10th Power is, and I thoroughly enjoyed rewatching it for this video. However, this entire retrospective is about the Psycho Rangers, and as far as story goes, this episode didn't do a lot for them. We got to see Red be the demented leader, and we got to see a little bit of Blue being that wild card that we talked about, but besides that, from the first scene, they kind of just acted like Drakina's henchmen for the episode. Plus, they got destroyed again at the end. Minus Psycho Pink, of course. Which, okay, let's dive into that. The In-Space Rangers are getting a tour of Terra Venture, even being introduced to the Galactabeasts. Cassie climbs on top of the Wildcat and starts dancing, resulting in the Galactabeast throwing Cassie off as she falls to the ground. And the team just giggle and run over to her, and she's completely fine. The Galactabeasts, last time I recall, are fucking huge. How is she not dead from this fall? But that being said, they wouldn't kill a Power Ranger, so... Meanwhile, Drakina is planning for her reign as Queen of the Universe as she demands Psycho Pink destroys all of the Power Rangers, though Psycho Pink makes it clear she is only interested in the Pink Ranger and she rips off Deviot's control device. She pulls her bow on Drakina before fleeing the ship in search for the Pink Ranger. Finally, after 9 episodes and 2 revivals, a Psycho Ranger is finally riding solo. On Terra Venture, Kendricks is doing some more research on the Savage Sword, an ancient weapon told to have more power than all 5 Quasar Sabers combined. However, as Kendricks is using the computer, Psycho Pink uploads herself to the power system and hears everything she says. She then girl from the rings out of the monitor, scanning Kendricks' brain and finding the information on where to find the Savage Sword. Kendricks legs it to alert the other Rangers and Cassie spots her halfway. They run into Psycho Pink and both morph into battle. And Kendricks' morph here was kind of resembling the In-Space ones, which was a nice little touch. Cassie and Kendricks head to the planet Rashon where the Savage Sword is in an attempt to get there before Psycho Pink and alert the other Rangers. Before they can follow them, a swarm of Stingwingers jump them, occupying them for the time being. Psycho Pink then lands on Rashon with the Pink Rangers not far behind. However, it is too late. Psycho Pink locates the Savage Sword, ripping it from the stone that holds it. Psycho Pink attacks the Rangers, using the sword's full power as it grows in scale after every hit. Psycho Pink uses the sword to absorb energy from Cassie, healing her damaged areas and growing the sword even further. Cassie is then hit so hard that she demorphs and her morpher flies off. Psycho Pink then sticks the sword into the morpher, absorbing even more power, creating a force field of evil energy around the sword and morphing Psycho Pink into her natural form. It also sends a dark energy out into the universe that disrupts Terra Venture as it travels. Psycho Pink grows, but the other Rangers arrive just in time in the Astro Megazord and Galaxy Megazord. A 2v1 commences as Cassie and Kendricks watch from the ground, and the Savage Sword is getting even stronger. We then learn that the more power that gets drained from the morpher, then the more power that gets drained from Cassie. Why? I couldn't tell you. Not once has there ever been a thing with the In-Space Rangers that the morphers are connected to them on a DNA level, but for the purposes of this, I suppose they are. The stakes are high, and they even imply that Cassie could die from this, but like I said, they wouldn't kill a Ranger. After a standard Megazord battle, the two teams of Rangers manage to destroy Psycho Pink. Finally. Hopefully. Maybe. Who knows? But the effects of Psycho Pink are still at play. On the ground, Kendricks can see Cassie's energy depleting by the second, taking it upon herself to remove the sword from Cassie's morpher. She tries to get through the force field, hurting herself with every step. Cassie screams at her to stop, but to no effect. Kendricks believes that she's the reason Psycho Pink found the sword, so it's up to her to save Cassie. Once inside the portal, she realizes she must destroy the Savage Sword. The other Rangers sprint toward her, all screaming for her not to take that risk. She lifts her Quasar Saber to the sky, and Kendrick strikes down on the Savage Sword, slicing it in half, resulting in a huge explosion. As the smoke lifts, nothing remains but a glowing light. The glowing light is Kendricks, a ghost of the morphing grid, as destroying the Savage Sword and saving Cassie's life destroyed her. Destroyed her. Because of Psycho Pink, Kendricks is fucking dead. The Rangers watch in confusion until Kendricks disappears and the Quasar Saber floats to the sky. Cassie's morph ends up regenerating itself, but the Rangers are mourning over their friend and fellow Ranger. Maybe if Zane had showed up, the Space Rangers return to Earth and the Lost Galaxy Rangers continue their mission in a world finally free of the Psychos.
It was an honor fighting with you guys.
No, Leo. The honor was all ours.
Of course, the show went on, and Corona even ended up becoming the new Pink Lost Galaxy Ranger, but the Psychos, their story ends here. Kind of. During Season 2 of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, a group of villains are looking to resurrect a villain from Power Rangers past. It is mainly a clip show episode, however, out of all the villains they decide to try and revive, they do pull out Psycho Red's data card. I guess back when the Psychos were uploaded to data cards, they just printed multiple copies. How do we still have them? They review footage of Psycho Red, but come to the conclusion that without a full team of Psychos, then they'd be pretty useless, and they end up going with Goldar instead. But it was cool to see the Psycho Rangers referenced 15 years after their last appearance. So, the Psycho Rangers were, and still are, some of my favourite villains in the franchise. They are without a doubt the best portrayal of an evil Ranger team, and their presence throughout 10 plus episodes and comic book spin-offs proves the legacy they left in the franchise. According to the wiki, they hold the record for longest running evil Ranger team, as most evil Rangers don't last longer than an episode or two. Given of course you don't count Blaze and Roxy, are they a duo? Are they two solos? Are they not a team? Let's just take a minute to rank the Psychos on a scale of truly psycho to a bit shit. And for the in-betweens we have Morphin Menace, pretty bad, therefore good, and You Were Fine. Starting with Psycho Silver, a bit shit. He's not a Psycho Ranger. He's just not. It's Zane in a cosplay that he didn't even want to keep for Silver long enough that he switched to Red by the end. If we've established that it's a repaint, because who the fuck knows? I reckon there could have been a great potential in a Psycho Silver if they had actually went through with that as a sixth Psycho going against the Rangers and the Psychos, but they fumbled the bag. Psycho Green is pretty cool. As I said, I wasn't going to include the comics, and then I just felt it was necessary because of how cool of a character that he is. The backstory with him being a supersonic Ranger that they adapted from 5-man into Super Mega Force into the comic book. He even killed his own team of Rangers. I'm torn between Morphin Menace and Truly Psycho. I think it's Truly Psycho. Straight away. I didn't order these, by the way. I put the images in and and this is the order they came in. Psycho Red was great. He was very clearly the leader, even though nobody really wanted to follow anybody's orders. He did 1v1 with Andros and almost kill him. Obviously, it was Alfred who showed up with the Astro Megazord that saved Andros in that situation. I don't think I'd go as far as to say Truly Psycho, because I don't think he, reached that level, but he's without a doubt Morphin Menace. Psycho Black didn't do a lot. If we look back at all the Rangers, Psycho Yellow and Psycho Pink shared a lot of the same episodes in terms of their stories dealing with Ashley and Cassie. Psycho Blue had a focus episode with TJ, and he was that sort of cocky guy all the way through. Psycho Red was the leader, and like I said, he had that 1v1 with Andros. He was determined to get to Andros. There wasn't a focus on him. All of his episodes got merged with Yellow and Red, and then that one time he did confront Psycho Red was cool. I don't know, there wasn't a lot. I don't think he belongs in a bit of shit because he did last the longest out of all of them, I suppose. He died with Yellow and Red. But you go and You Were Fine. There was nothing too much to Psycho Black. Psycho Pink is a truly psycho, and we can't say anything else. Cassie was one of the first targets when the episodes started. Psycho Yellow could have killed Ashley, and Psycho Pink didn't let her because just how she wanted to not have her be the better Psycho. And then of course she was the only one to survive the likes of Orion, and then just disobeyed Deviant and Trakina, and ended up going for the Savage Sword, gaining the Savage Sword, and as a result of her actions, a Ranger died. So she's truly Psycho. Psycho Blue, I've already said, I did like a lot. However, he had one really nice focus episode, and then the rest, he was just kind of like this arrogant guy. In the focus episode, 5 of a Kind, he was really good. He took on the Rangers, he took on Psycho Silver, and he took on Psycho Red and Psycho Black. Did he win? No, of course he didn't. But also, if just looking at his monster form, the ice powers, I think, were the most effective. We saw the other Rangers in their monsters form using different powers, but I think the most utilized ability was Psycho Blue's ice power. He's going to go in Morphin Menace, but you know what? I think Red might be going down to pretty bad, therefore good. And just to elaborate, pretty bad meaning they are evil, not like they're a bad character. I don't know, he had that cool moment, but didn't stand out a hell of a lot. I think he did just about enough to not be down here with Black. And finally, we have Psycho Yellow. A great character, as I said, kind of mirrored Psycho Pink in a way. She was always in the background trying to figure out her own plan. She managed to hijack the Mega Voyager, single-handedly kidnapped a Ranger, and she made it into the finale. You know, I think she's going to be Morphin Menace as well. I think that's what I'm going with. So in a bit shit, we have Psycho Silver. He wasn't a real Psycho Ranger. Deal with it. You were fine. Psycho Black, he had a presence, but ultimately he didn't do a hell of a lot. He didn't have a solo story per se, and even though he did drag the Megazord into the Vortex, literally any of them could have done that. Psycho Red isn't pretty bad, therefore good. He was just a solid Psycho Ranger. He was really cool what we're seeing in 1v1 with Leo in Lost Galaxy, and the fight with Andros in that one episode was pretty fun. Morphin Menace, we have Psycho Blue and Psycho Yellow. Really good characters. Both had a nice moment to shine. Both showed what they could do when they were given just solo time with their respective Ranger, but I don't think it comes close to Psycho Pink and Psycho Green, who have killed Rangers. Psycho Pink obviously having killed Kendricks, and Psycho Green having killed an entire team of Rangers and some of the 1969 Rangers. Ordering doesn't really matter, but I guess for good measure we'll put Psycho Pink at the top as well, just because, you know, you were part of the TV show. Do with that as you will. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think the only thing I wish would come from the Psychos were episodes on individual Rangers. Like, we kind of got it with Pink and Blue, but then Yellow, Black, and Red just had their story merged together for the last few episodes. The first 8 episodes that aired during In Space were of course coinciding with Mega Ranger footage, but everything from the Lost Galaxy crossover was completely original use of the Psycho Rangers. It made me wonder what sort of plans they did have for the Psychos, because In Space was meant to be the final season, and since they didn't bring the Psychos back in Space, why was Astronomer holding those cards at the end of the episode? I guess it is a cool MacGuffin to sort of keep the possibilities endless, but I don't know, it feels like there was another plan beforehand. However, this was 26 years ago, and we may never know the true reason. Regardless, I love the Psycho Rangers, and the fact we got as many stories as we did with them makes me so happy, and if anything, I'd love them to be in even more stories. The Psycho Rangers will go down in history as the longest running team of evil Rangers, the Power Rangers villains with the most lives, and the first team of villains, or villain singular, to cause the death of a Power Ranger. They were truly wicked, but their downfall came in their selfishness and inability to work as a team. I mean, sure, they proved over and over again that they could take on the Red Ranger or the Blue Ranger or the Pink Ranger, but they were never a match for the Power Rangers. And thus concluding the Psycho Saga.